Alright, today we're going to look at counterspells that are not actually counterspells. I'll accept two different types of cards. One that it counters something, but the spell itself, the card itself, is not on the stack. Or the card could be on the stack, but it doesn't actually counter the thing. It just sort of counters it in some way. Okay, I'm going to start it off with the Void Mage Prodigy, a blue 2/1 creature. Very underrated human wizard. Because you can pay blue, sack a wizard, any wizard. You could sack himself, sacrifice himself for the greater good, to counter target spell. So this card doesn't actually use the stack, and also, sorry, it does use the stack. People reminded me in the burn video, oh my god, everything uses the stack. But the card Void Mage Prodigy, the spell itself is not on the stack. The ability is on the stack. And it counters things. It counters them spells. Good morning, Summer. Good morning, Gold Medals. All right, next up, I've got... Oh, we got Boulder here. Boulder with the super chat. Thank you so much. Dash Hopes. When you play Dash Hopes, any player may pay a 5 life. If a player does counter Dash Hopes, counter target spell. This, I guess, you know what? Maybe this really isn't a counter spell because you can't even guarantee it. I will make an exception for this one. But I'm more looking for things like Void Mage Prod. Is it Void Mage? No, hold on. Hushbringer. Is it Hush? No, hold on. Backspace. I had another card in Void. Yeah, it was Void Mage Husher. This thing will counter, maybe not spells, but activated abilities. All right, we got a blue 3 generic 2/2 human wizard with flash. When Void Mage Husher comes into play, counter target activated ability. And whenever you play a spell, you may return Void Mage Husher to its owner's hand. You know what we could also count? Counter spells that don't actually counter the spells. They just counter activated and triggered abilities. I think I would take all of those. This card, I think, would be busted if it could counter triggered abilities. But unfortunately, it's only activated abilities. But it's still pretty damn good otherwise. All right, what do we got? Oh, Hex. Yeah, why didn't I even front load the show with this one? Vodalian Hexcatcher. Honestly, I didn't even think about this one. It's a blue 1 generic 1/1 flash merfolk wizard. All other merfolk you control get +1/+1, so be careful in combat. But sacrifice a merfolk, and there's plenty of merfolk in the sea. We can afford to do it. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1. An excellent counter spell that is not actually a spell. Tim says, hey, first time making it to one of your streams. Are they usually at this time? Because it's 2 a.m. here. Yes, it is usually. Sometimes, depending if I'm traveling, it might be at a random other points in time, but usually it is. Okay, Crab Tribe. Tybalt's Trickery. I will accept it. Okay, this is a card that will use the stack, but it doesn't guarantee really countering anything. All right, a red 1 generic counter target spell. Choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards and exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with a different name than that spell. They may cast the card without paying its mana cost. Then if they put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. I guess actually maybe this one doesn't count. You literally counter the spell, but it just could backfire badly against you because you could end up with a much worse spell. But you do technically counter the spell. It is just a very high risk, low reward type of counter spell. All right, we got Sean Jackson, the Death Grip. Oh yeah, this is that green one, or sorry, it's a black one. Black enchantment, black counter target green spell. This card sees no play for some reason. I think some black devotion deck should play this, and it would be OP. This actually does cost nothing. It costs absolutely nothing. You want it from 5th edition for 24 cents. Go get your Death Grips to counter them green spells, but it sits on the battlefield. All right, we got next. Oh, I love this one from Turia. Tura goes with Venser, Shaper Savant. This is an excellent counter spell. It's not a counter. It doesn't counter. It's not a spell on the stack, but holy crap will it deal with the thing. All right, blue, 2 generic for a 2/2 legendary human wizard with flash. When Venser Shaper Savant enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. So it's got that counter spell feel to it, but doesn't counter anything at all. In fact, you better deal with it next turn because it will be back. It will be back. Next, we got Tim. Have you done Stifle yet? Okay, yeah, with Stifle is a good one because it doesn't actually counter spells. So it's a spell in the stack, but it doesn't actually counter any spells that counters activated or triggered abilities. Blue, instant, counter target, activated or triggered ability. It is the reason we say something gets stifled if we are countering any activated or triggered abilities. And I love this in Modern. I think activated and triggered abilities are running free with no consequences whatsoever in all formats. It's BS. If only we had Stifle available, we could... we'd have something. We'd have more tools for it. I think this should not be just a Legacy and Commander staple. I think this is... We need this in more formats. We could even use it in Pioneer. Could even use it over there. Alpha Nerd. Ether Swarm Canonist. Hold on. Hold the fort! How does this work? Does this count? Okay, on each player who has cast a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells this turn. I don't think so. I don't think this one works. This is more of a prison card. It's like, you know, only one thing at a time. But nothing really about countering, nothing stopping. It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel right. All right, we got... This is a counter. You can't read instructions. No. Okay, so with this show, it's going to be much looser. If the card can be on the stack so long as it doesn't actually counter the spell, and also we're gonna accept cards that is not on the stack but counter spells or activated abilities. Unless you're referencing this to the what's it called, Tybalt's Trickery, because that actually does technically counter spells. Okay, Dick, Lull Mage Mentor. I'm sure this is gonna be a wild show. I'm gonna be the one who decides what counters and doesn't counter stuff here. Okay, Lull Mage Mentor, blue, 1 generic for a 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Them Merfolk, they like to counter things while on the battlefield. Whenever a spell or ability you control counters a spell, you may put a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token onto the battlefield, and get this. Tap 7 untap Merfolk you control, counter target spell. I don't know why Merfolk would have 7 Merfolk on the battlefield. Listen, I'm a Merfolk master. I've played Merfolk my entire life, and I don't think I've been able to get more than like 5 Merfolk on the battlefield, so this ability, as far as I'm concerned, is unplayable. It's unplayable, never happened. Oh, we got Sean Jackson here with, what is this, a super sticker or something? I got some fancy, I got something fancy on my side. All right, commit / memory split card. By the way, thank you very much for the super chat. Commit. How does this thing work? Okay, blue 3 generic, put target spell or non-land permanent into its owner's library, second from the top. Definitely counts. That's a good one. Doesn't actually counter a spell. It will be back. It tucked it away. It's still card advantage. Cards like this, do not underestimate them, because it may not have dealt with the spell. It's coming back in 2 more turns, but that like almost deprives them of a card draw, because that should have been a fresh draw when really they're getting their spell back to be replayed. Alex O'Hara, Narset's Reversal. Does this count? The old reverse-y. Okay, blue, instant. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, then return it to its owner's hand. You may choose new targets for the copy. That is such a bizarre card. That's right. So we're sort of dealing with the card for 1 turn, and then we get a copy of that card. I don't know if this is any good. Imagine, I'm trying to think how I would want to use this. Copy like Scape Shift, sack all my lands, get a bunch of, I don't know, Wastelands or Mutavaults or something. Prevent my opponent from, like, beating me down with a bunch of Valakuts. That's how I'd break it. That's my plan. All right, we got John here with the Hullbreaker Horror. Such a silly card. Oh my god, that card is just bonkers. I don't know how many times I've just drafted that one card, and it basically guaranteed at least a 3-2 in a vintage cube. Blue 5 generic for a 7-8 Kraken Horror with Flash. I imagine that thing. Like, imagine the flavor of this thing. It's this gigantic kraken crab looking thing. It just like appears out of nowhere. Spell can't be countered. Whenever you cast a spell, choose up to 1. Return target spell you don't control to its owner's hand, or return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Just absolutely backbreaking card. They play a spell, you play opt, and then okay, this spell goes right back into their hand. Dealt with immediately. Absolutely disgusting. Narset's Reversal, says King Ginger. Yeah, we looked at that one. You're a little late. A little late on this thing. But, yeah. Narset's Reversal. Oh, I see. They're giving, like, little notifications to me for all the $2 Super Chats. When in the past, I didn't really see the $2 Super Chats very well. Alright, Spell Queller. That's why people are like, why didn't you get to my Super Chat? Well, I don't get notifications for the $2 ones. I get notifications for, like, $5 and up, I think. Spell Queller, excellent counter spell. Blue-white, 1 generic for a 2-3 Flash Flying Spirit. When Spell Queller enters the battlefield, exile target spell with converted mana cost 4 or less. When Spell Queller leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner may cast the card without paying its mana cost. Because it exiles, it gets around the cannot be countered clause. So, you know, you play your Supreme Verdicts, you play your... What else can't be countered out there? I don't know, Allosaurus Rider. So you can be countered because you get exiled instead. All right, we got David with Perplexing Chimera. Perplexing. The hell is this? Okay, we got a blue 4 generic 3-3 Chimera. Oh, I have seen this card before. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may exchange control of Perplexing Chimera and that spell. If you do, you may choose new targets for the spell. What a bizarre counter spell. What a bizarre way of countering somebody's anything. All right, here you go. You may have the Chimera. I take your spell. It's like that trade meme. You get 1 Perplexing Chimera. I will take whatever you played. Cast a spell you may exchange. So you can wait for the good spell. Let everything resolve. Let everything resolve. What a wild card. I like it. It's my favorite suggestion today. I would not think of this as a counterspell, but it does work. Most definitely does work. Dio Brando! Dovescape. Or is it Dove Escape? Okay, we got Azorius, 3 generic for an enchantment. Whenever a player plays a non-creature spell, counter it! Oh my goodness. That's it. The game is over. That player puts X, 1/1 white and blue bird creature tokens with flying into play, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. No wonder this thing costs 6 mana. This thing is insane. It's actually crazy. I like it. It's broke. It's the most broken counter spell. That's not a literal counter spell. Alpha Nerd, thank you so much for the super chat. Divide by 0. Blue 2 generic, return target spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand. So you can't return 0 mana cards? Well, I guess it would be pointless. You just return, then they replay it. Maybe you could use it on yourself. And then you get to learn. You may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. Learn didn't really take off. It didn't take off so much that I don't even know what you can learn. I don't know anything about the learn mechanic whatsoever. Does not see competitive play. Does it see playing Commander? Does anyone play with the learn cards? No. You know what's more important than Lamborghinis? Knowledge. Yeah, I'm over here in my multiverse with my, what's it called? My Dovescape. But you know what's more important than Dovescapes? All these books on my bookshelf. Okay, what do we got next? We got Bind from Chen Fred. It's not even blue. We got a green 1 generic instant, counter target activated ability, and draw a card. This is so close to a card I want to exist. I want some, like, 1 blue, 1 generic stifle that draws a card, and I think that would be a broken. Absolutely broken, but I want it to exist. Christopher B. with Ashiok's the Erasure. This card's wild. It's a blue-blue 2 generic enchantment, flash. Enters the battlefield, exile target spell, just like Spell Queller. Your opponents can't cast spells with the same name as the exiled card, so if you have multiples, they are shut down. Probably not that popular in Commander. Well, it's still playable. Like, hey, you got some devotion going on here. You still exile uncounterable spells. But when Ashiok's Erasure leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. So we go back. Oh, Poxy, thank you so much for becoming a member on YouTube. One of the many ways of supporting the channel. Okay, a lot of people are saying time stop. Let's see, what does time stop do? Blue, 4 generic instant, end the turn. I say it passes. So if anything's on the stack, it's gone, because it says remove all spells and abilities on the stack from the game, including this card. The player whose turn it is discards down to his or her maximum hand size. Damage wears off, and this turn and until end of turn effects end. So, I mean, you could use this as a counterspell. Oh, something's on the stack that I don't like? Bam! We're going to end the turn right now. It's done for. I like it. Okay, Petty Polite says, have we done Endless Detour yet? Never heard of it. Endless Detour, blue, white, green, instant. The owner of target spell, non-land permanent, or the card in a graveyard puts it on top or bottom of their library. Ooh. So you can, like, target spells, but you can also hit the non-land permanents, a non-land permanent, or a card in a graveyard and put it on top of the bottom of their library. The owner of, and you can put your own stuff there. Very versatile. So it's like a pseudo counter spell while also being like a regrowth of some sort. You can fence, or you can save your own stuff on the battlefield. All right, we got next. We got it danger. I'm guessing you mean like this one with the time stop. I don't think Endless Detour is that dangerous. Krark the Thumbless is a non-counter of your own cards. What the hell? Krark the Thumbless. The hell does this work? Okay, red 1 generic 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, return that spell to its owner's hand. If you win the flip, counter that spell and you may choose new targets for the copy. Whenever you cast, but it only affects you. You're counter to your own deck. Sean Jackson. Kozilek the Great Distortion. This is a great way of getting around stuff that can't be countered. Alright, Kozilek the Great Distortion. Colorless, a generic for a 12/12. When you cast Kozilek the Great Distortion, if you have fewer than 7 cards in hand, draw cards equal to the difference. Okay, Menace. Discard a card with converted mana cost X. Counter target spell with converted mana cost X. Wow! This is like having a handful of counter spells. Counter target spell. Oh, but it has to match the converted mana cost. Yeah, converted mana cost. Counter target spell with converted mana cost X. I thought it would be X or less. Just discard, I don't know, Emrakul, counter anything, and then it's all over. Avoid as cryptic as reality itself. Oh, yeah, counterbalance. How could we forget old counterbalance from Archibald Vincent? Blue enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, counter that spell unless it has the same converted mana cost as the revealed card. It was a huge house in Legacy, combining with Sensei's Divining Top, so you can manipulate the top of your library. So if you have counterbalance or any sort of cards that manipulate the top of your library, including, what's it called? What is it? Aladdin's Ring? Or no, it was Lamp. Which lamp was it? You could have this 10 mana lamp, and it has good synergy with Sensei's Divining Top. 10 mana get in play, but then you can manipulate the top of your library. That's what it's all about with counterbalance. Alright, well, next up we've got King Ginger. Jin Cataxius. Jin Pro something. Progress time. All right, the progress time. We got a blue 5 generic 5/5 Phyrexian Praetor. Whenever you cast an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. This ability triggers only once each turn. Whenever an opponent casts an artifact, instant, or sorcery spell, counter that spell. This ability triggers only once each turn. We've got, it's like that band commander. I can't remember what she's called. It's basically the same thing, except this is way harder to get in play. I'm gonna put artifact, instant, or sorcery spell. Oh, but you can cast creatures, no problem. Jinkataxis ain't gonna do anything to your creatures. Oh my god, I love this one, Crab Tribe. Misdirection, one of my favorite cards in the game. Blue 3 generic. You may exile a blue card from your hand rather than pay Misdirection's mana cost. Change the target of target spell with a single target. I'm gonna allow this one. So if then someone tries to bolt you, no, you're not bolting me. You're bolting yourself, or even better yet, bolting one of your creatures. You want to snuff out one of my creatures? No, we're gonna snuff out your, I don't know, Delver of Secrets. It's a, maybe it's not the hugest blowout, but it's a really fun card, because you still have to spend like 2 cards in order to make it happen. And funny enough, you can redirect counterspells to itself. It sounds stupid, but that's how it works. And it will have no target when it resolves. Or it will fizzle. Yo, little Ted with the super chat. Venser, we did that one. Look at it again for you. Okay, what else you can do with Venser? So, enters the battlefield, return target spell to its owner's hand. That was very relevant versus, at least for me, versus Supreme Verdict, versus Terminus. So you want a Miracle the Terminus? No, it goes back in your hand. You got to pay the full retail. 6 mana. What else did I use Venser for? Balanced Ensnaring Bridge, really. I played a lot with Venser. Big Venser fan. Alpha Nerd. Grimoire Thief. Oh, God. Is this even going to counter anything? Okay, blue for a 2/2 Merfolk Rogue. When it becomes tapped, remove the top 3 cards of target opponent's library from the game face down. This is more of a mill card than anything else. You may look at cards removed from the game with Grimoire Thief. Pay a blue. Sacrifice Grimoire Thief. Turn all cards removed from the game with Grimoire Thief face up. Counter all spells with those names. Worst counter spell ever. Worst counter spell designed. Approaching Calamity says, will you count Summary Dismissal? Probably. Oh, does it exile the spells? Oops, I'm not spelling anything right here. There we go, Summary Dismissal. Blue 2 generic instant. Exile all other spells and counter all abilities. I will accept this. Does not actually counter spells. It is exiling the spells. So you can exile... pretty sure you can hit Supreme Verdict with this. That's not a problem. That's a powerful counter spell. And counter all abilities. That's wild. Just got to build up a big stack and then Summary Dismissal it all away. Joel says Imp's Mischief. The hell is this? Black 1 generic instant. Change the target of target spell with a single target. You lose life equal to that spell's converted mana cost. Oh, that's neat. So it is effectively a misdirection. In black, you lose life equal to that. This is crazy. This is crazy amazing. What's a sound effect for this? I got nothing here. I think they should see more play. This is playable in every format. Probably Death Shadow could use this. Why doesn't Death Shadow use this? Hidden tack right here. Like this is the part of the show where you like learn about some new card you never even knew existed and stuff like this. It's like deflecting SWAT, right? Like that's a super powerful card. This is effectively the same thing, but for black. All right. Oh, and it's $30. Okay, so maybe the commander players know that it's good. Can't even fly. It's not good, but Ice Cave. This show isn't about good cards. Oops, I looked up Ice Good. The Ice Cave. We got blue 3 generic enchantment. Whenever a player plays a spell, any other player may pay that spell's mana cost. If the player does, counter the spell. Any other player. That's interesting. We all have the power to basically... We all get to decide if it gets to resolve or not. If you like redirects, Wild Ricochet. And Ricochet Trap. Yeah, I love it. Gabriel's like, yes, this is why the show is great. Cards I never knew existed are great sources of inspiration. I didn't even hear about this thing. Even the oppressive cold of the ice cave could not temper the Eladamri's ire. Eladamri. Yeah, under ice. Ice to meet you. Ice to meet you. Well, that's crazy. Yeah, why don't we with Chalice of the Void? I guess this is a card that I get most people know. XX, Chalice of the Void, enters the battlefield with X charge counters on it. Whenever a player plays casts a spell with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on Chalice of the Void, counter that spell. Most important mode of Chalice of the Void, 0. You just play it for nothing and counter anything that doesn't have a converted mana cost, which is most certainly the suspend spells. There's a lot of suspend spells that cost nothing. And a lot of cascade spells cost nothing. Where am I going? Next we got Tim. Tim with the Oh, Kira Great Glass Spinner. Little passive counterspell, but counterspell nonetheless. Thank you so much for the huge super chat, Tim. We got a blue 1 generic 2/2 spirit with flying. Creatures you control have whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability for the first time each turn, counter that spell or ability. So you want to get rid of the Kira. First you got to target Kira. Bam, you break the shield, then you go for her again. Go for the throat, don't miss. She's very strong. She's strong. What is this Decree of Silence? Blue 6 generic enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, counter that spell and put a depletion counter on Decree of Silence. If there are 3 or more depletion counters on Decree of Silence, sacrifice it. You can cycle it for 6 mana. That's a bit wild. When you cycle Decree of Silence, you may counter target spell. Holy crap! Now that is sick. It's a 6 mana counter spell, but basically you cycle, you draw a card, and you blow up their spell. I think this is great. I should have this in my deck. I didn't even know this thing existed. So, and while it's on the battlefield, you also hit at least 3 spells whenever an opponent plays a spell. So you're basically shielded for 3 spells. This is crazy. Ellie Soates, Patron Wizard, one of my favorites. Do you guys guess, or can you guys guess that I love counter spells? Blue 2/2 Wizard. It's a human wizard. I think it's been errated too. Tap and untap wizard you control, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. So it's like 4 spike for every wizard on the battlefield, including himself. Not affected by summoning sickness, by the way. You could do that immediately because there's no tap symbol to symbolize that. You see, when it has this tap symbol, that's when it's affected by summoning sickness. The best way is to teach by example and also teach by failure. Speaking of failure, Erland has failure/comply. Failure. Return target spell to its owner's hand. Very simple. What is comply? Aftermath. Choose a card name until your next turn. Your opponents can't cast spells with the chosen name. Ah, it's interesting. If you can can you play both of them? Cast this spell only from your graveyard, then exile. So you can failure the spell back to their hand, then comply. Make sure they can't play it next turn. Delayed for at least 1 turn. Now we're going to look at more counterspells that are not actually counterspells, but we got to thank our sponsors today, FusionGamingOnline.com. Deal of the week this week. Save 15% off all Modern Horizons 2 singles and sealed product. I mean, if you're looking for that Fury, that Solitude, what was that? Fury, Solitude, Subtlety, Grief, the Endurance in your life. If you haven't fixed your play sets up, you're looking to get your first of those Modern Horizons 2 cards, look no further than FusionGamingOnline.com to get 15% off all those sweet Modern Horizons 2 singles. And don't forget to use coupon code Nikachu at checkout for 5% off all your purchases. And if you need to play test them Modern Horizons 2 cards or any of the latest sets, you're going to want to use Mana Traders. Test out those cards in those new decks. See what you need to upgrade, or even if you want to buy those cards in the first place, test them online before you buy them in paper. And you can support the channel using my Mana Traders link in the description below, or save 10% off your first 2 months using coupon code Nikachu_FHD at checkout. Alright, and then do not fail, however, to comply for the show. Okay, next up, we've got a super chat here from Yo Little Ted. Thank you very much for your super chat. Oh, Glenalendra Archmage. This card is sick. Did I misspell it? Glenny! Oh, that's a new art. I like the OG art. I'm more of an OG person in this case. We got Glenalendra Archmage, blue 3 generic for a 2/2. Fairy Wizard with flying. And persist, so when she dies, she's gonna be back. And pay a blue, sacrifice Glenalendra Archmage, counter target non-creature spell. So counter the removal spells, the sweepers, the planeswalkers, and you get a 2-for-1 deal. You know, buy one, get one free, because when she dies, she comes back and you can counter another thing. So I always have to make sure that I have at least 5 mana up when I play this card. So at the very least, I can counter something. Arbitrary Drake says, I messed up my super chat. I was supposed to say Urtai the Corrupted, but it was blank. Don't worry, I'll get it. I'll get to you. Where's your super chat? I see your super chat here. Urtai. You're going to get them super chats. Oh, by the way, thank you very much for your super chat. Arbitrary Jake. Okay, we got black, blue, white, 2 generic for a 3/4 Wizard Legend. Blue tap, sacrifice a creature or enchantment, counter target spell. It's a sacrifice that we're all willing to make. It's sort of like the Kai Bud one, right? It's like Void Mage Prodigy, but you also can sack useless enchantments. I like this card. Is this guy about to rip his head off or something? Oh, this guy's like, hold on, this is weird. Usually the arms are coming out of the body. This guy has arms coming out of his biceps. Anyway, very, very strange. Very bizarre. Did I miss any super chats going behind? Nope. Okay, I'm all caught up. Veil of Summer. The 1-mana Cryptic Command. Green, draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and perms you control gain hexproof from blue and black until end of turn. So if someone's trying to use a counter spell against you, basically rebuttal them with the Veil of Summer, and yeah, your stuff isn't countered. Their stuff is countered. So this reminds me of what? Summer's Autumn? Or Autumn? Veil of Autumn? Veil of Summer? No. You know what I mean. If you know what I mean. Where did I see this? Hold on, I saw a Judge's Familiar. I don't know who to give credit to the Judge's Familiar. Okay, well, I'm gonna put Judge's Familiar up here. It was like, as I'm scrolling through chat. Judge's Familiar. It's my favorite, one of my favorite cards because it's so cute. For Azorius mana, we have a 1/1 bird with flying. Sacrifice Judge's Familiar. Counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 1. It's like it's curse cat. It's a flying curse catcher. It's basically what it is. Does heroic intervention count? Hey, green, 1 generic, instant. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. I'm gonna allow it. Because the whole idea of this thing is like basically stop their spell. It's effectively a counterspell versus the sweepers and removal spells. I'll allow it. Heroic intervention. Most people use it as a counterspell. So that's what this show is all about. It's like using it like a counterspell, but it's not really a counterspell. Bolt Bend. The hell is that? From Julia. Great avatar, by the way. Cubone is one of the best. We got a red 3 generic instant. The spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Change the target spell or ability with a single target. Didn't know the clause was so high. Oh, sorry. So it's 4 mana. You can play it for 4 mana, but if you have some beefy creature in play, it's only 1 mana. That's pretty sick. Sick stuff. Fireburn with the super chat. Venser Shaper. Everyone sees Venser. This is the 3rd time we've talked about Venser. What else do I have to say about this card? Enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent. You could return himself. If you have infinite mana, you have infinite ETB triggers. Does that work? Venser enters the battlefield, return target spell or permanent. Yeah, you could do that. So you have infinite blue mana, just Venser for eternity. Now I've made an infinite combo for somebody. Mundungu. I'll take cards I didn't know were Magic of the Gathering cards. Magic of the Gathering names for 200, Alex. Okay, Mundungu. A black-blue 1 generic for a 1/1 human wizard. Tap counter target spell unless that speller casts. The spell's caster pays an additional 1 and 1 life. Plays ability as an interrupt. Oh, cool. It's like another taxing counterspell creature. I most certainly didn't know this existed. They had these types of creature counterspells since the beginning, so it's like a force spike eternally on the battlefield. And worst case, you're at least nailing them for 1 life. So even if they can pay the 1, they got to pay the 1 life. Does delay count? Yeah. Or does it? Hold on, let's see. It says counter target spell. No. It actually does. This one is not going to count. Safe Haven from Stranger Candy. Safe Haven. We got Safe Haven. Pay 2, tap, remove target creature you control from the game. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice Safe Haven. If you do, return each card removed from the game with Safe Haven to play under its owner's control. I think that's a bit too loose. Too loose. I see what you're trying to do there, but it's a bit loose. Yeah, Autumn Veil is what I was thinking of. Autumn Veil. It's Veil of Summer, but without the card draw. It's a fair version of Veil of Summer. Spells you control can't be countered by blue or black spells this turn, and creatures you control can't be the target spells or black. Targets of blue or black spells this turn. Back off, get your own sandwich, Demir. Back off, get your own sandwich. TCG dude, we out here breaking hearts with pseudo counters? That's right. It's the whole idea. Stranger Candy. Safe Haven. What? I just disqualified this thing. Does this really count? Remove target creature you control from the game. Still, I don't like it. I don't like it's just too, I don't know, if it blinked it or something. It's not a very good. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may sacrifice Safe Haven. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't know. You let me know in the everyone watching on the replay, is Safe Haven a counterspell? That's not a counterspell. Let me know in the comment section below. Maybe it is. I don't know. To them people trying to protect yourself from removal spells. I have the ring on it, but I don't get the notice. This is happening a lot. The ring? You mean the one ring? I have the ring on, but I don't get the notice. Oh, you're talking about the show. Well, you gotta be here on time. I tell you when to be here every single day. Okay, Super Gabby Bear. Abeyance was broken until Wizards of the Coast errata it. It was a time walk for white. Abeyance. This is white 1 generic. Until end of turn, target player cannot play instants, interrupts, sorceries, or abilities requiring an activation cost. Draw a card. I don't even know what the original version of this card is. Until end of turn, target. It's more of a silence than anything. The spell sky count. I'd allow it. Yeah. I'll allow it. This misdirection stuff. Pay 2, 0, 4. Pay a Phyrexian or a blue. Change target spell. Change the target of target spell or ability to spell skite. Just make sure it can target spell skite. Some things aren't, you know, it's got to target spell skite in the end or it won't change the target. So I will allow that. We got King Ginger here with the super chat. In the Eye of Chaos. Blue 2 generic, world enchantment. Whenever a player casts an instant spell, counter it unless that player pays X, where X is its converted mana cost. Whenever a player casts an instant, yeah, they have to pay. So they have to pay double for all their spells, or they be screwed. They pay. You pay twice. Chalice of the Void is a great. It is a great example. We did that one already. Here's a question for everyone. What's the largest Chalice of the Void that you've ever had? I once had Chalice of the Void on 4 in a very late game versus a control deck. It hit their Jace the Mind Sculptor. It hit their Cryptic Command. It did not really hit Supreme Verdict because that's uncounterable. It did have targets, though. It was my largest Chalice of the Void of all time. All right, what else do we have? We got Tim. Tim is back. Is it called Overmaster, that red 1-drop? We'll find out in a second. Overmaster, a red sorcery. The next instant or sorcery spell you play this turn can't be countered by spells or abilities. Draw a card. I don't think this counts. It doesn't feel like it's in response to anything. Like, you're just giving yourself free reign. Next instant or sorcery spell this turn can't be countered by spells or abilities. Yeah, it don't count. In my opinion. Markzilla with the overcharge. Thank you very much for the super chat, of course. And we got overcharged amalgam from Markzilla. We got blue 2 generic for a 3/3 flash flyer with exploit. What a bizarre ability exploit is. So when this creature enters the battlefield, it triggers exploit. You may sacrifice a creature. When overcharged amalgam exploits a creature, counter target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Holy crap. Exploit underrated. Very underrated. Lee, Teferi Mage. Does this work? Teferi Mage. That's the OG, right? But just prevents people from doing anything. So blue 2 generic 3/4. Creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they could play a sorcery. How does this... Hold on. So, like, you want to put this in response to, say, like, Violent Outburst before a 0-mana spell goes on the stack? I could see that happening. And also, if anything on Suspend is about to come off Suspend, Teferi Mage of Zalafir would also hit it. All right, this barely acts like a counter spell, but there in some weird corner case scenarios, it will work. It will work. Hold on, is Molten Influence the card that we want? Molten Influence? Oh, is this the card that... Oh, no, this this is what Tim mentioned, the card that they wanted to. Okay, so we've got red 1 generic instant, counter target instant or sorcery spell. By the way, thank you very much for the super chat, Alpha Nerd. Sorhan, what are we doing here? I am lost on the super chats. Where'd this one come from? Or did someone else mention this? Okay, whatever. We got Molten Influence here. Red 1 generic instant. Counter target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller has Molten Influence. Deal 4 damage to him or her. I don't know. Do I count this? This is like that, what's it called? The black one. So it's, okay, it's not really a counter spell because the opponent has the option. Okay, I'll allow it. It's not a guaranteed counterspell. It's like a pseudo counterspell. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't. I don't really like this type of card though, because it does say counter target instant. When it does work, it's going to be a counterspell. All right, next up we've got Can't Even Fly, Stromgald Cabal for all the Painter Servant decks. Oh god. Black 1 generic for a 2/2 human knight. Tap, pay 1 life. Counter target white spell. So basically you go Painter, name white, and boom. Yeah, you can counter all of them. This card's pretty sick. I'm surprised how many like counter spells are on creatures. All you have to do is like tap it. Yeah, I know it says counter for the last one. Yeah, I don't like these ones. Doesn't work. It doesn't quite work. It's close. It's not even guaranteed counterspell, but it's still a counterspell. The Magic Historian. Did anyone mention flipping the table as a counterspell? That is, in fact, not a counterspell. Counters every spell. Counter target game. Counter target game not going my way. Okay, we got next. We have Alpha Nerd. Sister of Silence. Blue for generic flash, 3/3, human knight with Psychic Abomination. When Sister of Silence enters the battlefield, counter target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. Love these cards. I wish they had more stuff like this, but at a cheaper casting cost. But it does counter instants. That's wild. Instants and sorceries. If only it was like... if only it was 4 mana, I think it'd be delicious. If we had Commandeer. Let's check out Commandeer. This is a great one, Raccoon Veil. Okay, blue 5 generic. You may remove 2 blue cards in your hand from the game rather than pay Commandeer's mana cost. It's an instant. Gain control of target non-creature spell. You may choose new targets for it. So it's like you don't counter it. It's like it's yours now. Yeah, that spell over there, it's mine. Bring it over here. Now I get to choose targets for the thing. Yeah, that Ugin the Spirit Dragon. Yeah, bring it over here. Like, what does it do? Oh yeah, it wipes the board. Great. Fantastic. This is a huge blowout card. Bruce says time stops him instead. No, it hasn't. I don't think so. Oh no, we did do time. Or did we do time stop, or did we do the other one? And the turn effects absolutely work, but I think we did do this one. This art looks very familiar. Slip out the back. Is that gonna count? The old blinky blinky. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It phases out. I'll allow it. It's obviously a counter spell to removal spells. Did we do discontinuity? Maybe this is the one we didn't do. Discontinuity. This one we didn't do. All right, this one we didn't do. We got blue, 3 generic instant. As long as it's your turn, this spell costs blue, 2 less to cast. End the turn. Exile all spells and abilities from the stack. And everything else. It's just all over. You had something big to do? No, it's over. The turn, for 1 blue, 1 generic, I've ended the turn. These end of turn effects are really powerful. Very unexplored design space. It's probably and Wizards probably knows it's powerful, hence why it's so expensive. Wildly expensive. Have we done Remand? I think Remand literally counters the spell, right? Counter target spell. Spell is countered this way, pointed to its owner's hand instead of that player's graveyard. So it does count. It literally does counter the spell. Fireburn says, have we done Nether Void? I love everyone's today is like, have we done this card? Have we done that? Don't think we did this one. Yeah, Black's generic. Whenever a player plays a spell, counter it unless its controller pays 3. It's a wild card. Get count. You spend your mana. It's this giant stupid tax on top of everything. Undermine is literally a counter spell. What about Meddling Mage? Nah, not a counter. Definitely not a counter spell. Burning Paper Sun with the super chat. Surge of Salvation. White instant. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. Prevent all damage that black and or red creatures would deal to creatures you control this turn. I'll allow it. Yeah, you gaining hexproof basically negates removal spells. Negate on a stick, Null Brooch. The hell is this? 4 mana artifact. Pay 2, tap, discard your hand, counter target non-creature spell, play this ability as an interrupt. This card's amazing. I didn't even know this. This is a card I've never knew existed. So if you're a type of tap out deck, this card is great. I mean, you could have just no. Look, Mom, no hand. Just to have no cards in your hand and counter any non-creature spells. This is an amazing card. Anyone can play this card in their deck. Just make sure that you don't use your hand for anything, or you need to put it in the graveyard. This is a great way of ramping your hand into the graveyard. Yeah, so it definitely does count. Super Gabby Bear. Teferi's Protection. The ultimate, like, counterspell to, what is it? Until end of turn, your life total can't change and you gain protection from everything. All perms you control phase out. Exile Teferi's Protection for a white and 2 generic. No, Teferi's Response. Is that a counter? I think that one also works. Counter target spell or ability an opponent controls? Nah, don't work. Damn. I love this card. If a permanent's ability is countered this way, destroy that permanent. Draw 2 cards. Card is sick when it works. Our ability and opponent controls that targets a land. Yeah, it's the anti-land destruction, but anyway, it don't work. It don't work. The Big Squig Possibility Storm. Oh god. Red, red, 3 generic. Whenever a player casts a spell from his or her hand, that player exiles it. Then exiles cards on the top of their library until he or she exiles a card that shares a card type with it. That player may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Then he or she puts all cards exiled with possibility storm on the bottom of his or her library in a random order. Yeah, in a weird way, this sort of works. But holy crap, is it stupid. Alright, fire burn. We were talking so much about deflecting SWAT today that we'll look at literally deflecting SWAT. The red 2 generic instant. If you control a commander, you can cast a spell without paying its mana cost. You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. Oh, did they clean this up? You may choose new targets for target spell or ability. They used to say target spell with a single target. Target something new or something like that. So they've actually errated this thing a million times, and I guess that is the new way of doing it. Oh, Mr. Invisible Ether Gust. True story. Blue 1 generic. Instant. Choose target spell or permanent. That's red or green. But it didn't say it's gonna counter that spell. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Amazing card. It gets around uncounterable stuff. Right, boy! Thank you so much for your super chat. Hey, Nikachu. How's the stream going? Oh, it's going great. Sunken Field. Card I've never heard of. Blue 1 generic. Enchant Land. Enchant Land has counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Wow. So you can put like an infinite, like, force spike on one of your lands. Tap the land for mana, or it can counter spells now. Don't tap out, people. Don't tap out. S. Lee with Glorious End. I didn't know how many enchantments you could put on permanents that, like, tapped to counter spells. But we've seen quite a few of them this show. All right, Glorious End, our red 2 generic. End the turn. You have end the turn in red? At the beginning of your next end step, you lose the game. Oh, God! Or I don't know, that's not the right. Why would you want to do that? Exile all spell at the beginning of your next end step. So, like, not that turn, but the next turn, you lose. Because you ended the turn right then and there. I don't understand the point of this card. It just looks like it kills you, for the most part. Laruff with Slippery Bog Bonder. Oh, there's a bog in the back. We got a little bogle in the background. We got a green 3 generic, 3/3 flash hexproof. When Slippery Bog Bonder enters the battlefield, put a hexproof counter on target creature. Then move any number of counters from among creatures you control onto that creature. Absolutely is a counter spell. Counter, hexproof counters, removal. Okay, we got Crowcore Games here with the super chat. Mana Breach was annoying to fight against. It was it? Blue 2 generic enchantment. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player returns a land he or she controls to its owner's hand. I don't think this is really a counter spell. This is just annoying. You play your spells and then you got to return lands back to your hand, but it doesn't really. It doesn't have that counter spell feel to it, if you know what I mean. It's more of a prison card, if you ask me, or a taxing thing. Orantis was Voracious Great Shark. Nope. We haven't mentioned that one. Voracious Great Shark. The hell goes on here? Blue 3 generic for a 5/4 shark with flash. When Voracious Great Shark enters the battlefield, counter target artifact or creature spell. What's that artifact going to be? Probably a big boat. Counter them boats. That one does work. And a danger. All right, what do we got next? Turia says Hisoka Minamo Sensei. Okay, Hisoka Minamo Sensei, blue 2 generic for a 1/3 human wizard. Pay a blue 2 generic. Discard a card, counter target spell if it has the same converted mana cost as the discarded card. That is a counter spell. That's right. It's a counter spell that is not a counter spell. And G-Fill with Unsubstantiate. Blue 1 generic. Return target spell or creature to its owner's hand. It's simple yet effective. I remember how many people, they loved this card when it got printed. It's like, oh, we've got the answer to Supreme Verdict now. Well, for one turn at least. I never was really fun. If they put, like, draw a card off of this, I would be in on this. But, like, it doesn't draw a card, so. Just awkward. Everyone's saying Containment Priest. I don't really like this one. Okay, so for everyone saying Containment Priest, it's a white 1 generic 2/2 flash. If a non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. Okay, whatever. Okay, I guess so. There's a lot of you think that this works, so I guess it does. It's like a counterspell to something getting reanimated. There's the Channel Crab. Yeah, what is that crab? I know you're talking. We back. We back. All right, there's the Channel Crab. I don't know what the Channel Crab is though. Does anyone know what the Channel Crab? Yeah, I did for it. We back though. I don't know what the Channel Crab is though. All right, moving on. If anyone knows the Channel Crab, you let us know. Next up, let's look up Psychic Trance from David. Psychic Trance. What is this all about? Blue 2 generic. A big squiddy looking thing over here. Instant. Until end of turn, wizards you control have tap counter target spell. What a bizarre card. Like, the card itself will not counter anything, but it will give your wizards the ability to counter a spell. It's 24 cents, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense that it's 24 cents. Monster CC with the Draining Whelk. Draining Whelk, blue 4 generic for a 1/1 illusion. Flash flying. Enters the battlefield. Counter target spell. Put X+1/+1 counters on Draining Whelk, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. I was like wondering why is this thing so pathetically small, but it has plans. It has plans. You counter the spell, you get the counters. First you counter the spell, then you get the counters, then you get the victory. Okay, Fire Burn. The super Kozilek the Great Distortion technically counts. Oh, absolutely. But we did this one already. Just the biggest problem is getting this guy in play. You gotta cheat it in. I guess what how far are we? You need like a Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, Mana Vault, and you'll get there. Was it Mirror Shell Crab? Was that the crab? It is the crab. Thank you so much, Javier. We have the crab. Okay, blue 5 generic for a 5/7 crab with ward 3. But you can channel this thing for a blue 2 generic. Discard Mirror Shell Crab. Counter target spell or ability unless its controller pays 3. Underrated card. It's a 3 mana counter spell, but it's also a gigantic bomb when you're like flooding out like crazy. And we got one more super chat from Esley. Thank you so much. Planar Chaos. Did we do this one? No, maybe we didn't. Red 2 generic enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, sacrifice Planar Chaos. Whenever a player plays a spell, that player flips a coin. If he or she loses the flip, counter the target spell. What a most unreliable counter spell I ever saw in my life. Super chats equals counter stream ending. That's no, the lack of super chats. Or yeah, sorry, you're right. The super chats prevent the stream from ending. But that's the end of the super chats. So that means that's the end of the stream. And if you want to be here to be part of the show, you got to be here Monday to Friday, 11 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you so much for all your support. Everyone who's a member on YouTube, a patron on Patreon, but also everyone who super chats during the show, because that's a huge contribution to the channel. And I make sure that I'm here up every single day for all of you. So I gotta thank also the people who show up in the morning. So people like Markzilla, Jesse, Burning Paper Sun, Summer, King Ginger, Rob Boy, Turia, Can't Even Fly. We got TCG Dude, Christopher B, Erlin J, GWJ, the Big Squid, Slack. Who else do we got here? Rakuen, Mr. Deadhead, G Phil, Yo Little Ted. Because without you guys, I'd have no show. So as usual, my coffee crew keep brewing up them coffees. So we keep brewing up the magic. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you